Today on the topic show, Trump at 67% and Biden at 33% in a CNN poll following the debate. Texas Supreme Court upholds a ban on sex change for minors. Biden get knocked down but get back up speech rally support. Biden also out fundraises Trump in hours following the debate. Planet Fitness allegedly had a male employee watching a female in the locker room topless. You also have Time Magazine having Biden walking off the cover. Aston Martin Valiant to have a V12 and a stick shift. John Deere to lay off 600 production workers. Ford claims that they will have a profitable EV priced at $30,000 in the next 2.5 years, and Fisker Ocean is being recalled, all while the company is going through bankruptcy. All of that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you could reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would especially appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Aston Martin Valiant to have a V12 and a stick shift, as all cars should have by default. Even though we may have cultural and political decay in the United States and animosity towards each other, there's still a few headlines that give me hope and melt the ice that has drowned my heart of late. I only partially jest, but having a supercar or a hypercar performance car, the V12 and a stick shift these days, that's a rare experience. And Aston Martin is smart because there are customers who are more than willing to buy it. Now, this comes to us thanks to the Facebook, specifically someone by the name of Carbuzz. They say, quote, Aston Martin keeps the manual V12 sports car dream alive with a limited edition called the Valiant, of which only 38 will be built with less weight and more track focus than anything this side of the Valkyrie. Under the carbon fiber hood, Aston Martin has massaged even more power from the 5.2-liter twin-turbo V12, now making 734 horsepower and 555 foot-pound of torque, sent through the rear axle via I almost have a tear coming out of my eye, a bespoke 6-speed transactional manual gearbox. This is beautiful. And of course, the pictures, some might compare it to the Mona Lisa in terms of the craftsmanship they put into this. One of the few good things that comes out of England, next to James Bond and, yeah, something else they make. Now, it looks incredible. There are some comments that are derisively, comparing it to the boxed, maybe, what does it Stillman call it? Tune Croftus as a modified Mustang. A lot of them calling it the 2025 Ford Aston Martin Valiant, or, Aston, they're butchering it in the comments a little bit, but to me, it looks incredible. Of course, it's a coupe, the style, and actually, one of the few cars I think looks pretty good in yellow, which, let's be honest, traditionally is probably reserved for Lamborghinis. A nice little, really big carbon fiber rear diffuser. Of course, the interior, that's where, I haven't smiled ear to ear in quite some time, to be frank. And you see, I like how they're doing this more and more, Aston Martin especially, where you can actually see the linkage. So when you're actually doing the shift, you could see it really moving. Whereas most cars, like, I love my little Honda Civic Si. It's a great little car. When it needs to, it gets 50 miles per gallon. And I can have a little bit of fun on the track as long as it's not a straight line. That's where I was a little disappointed when Miata passed me. But nevertheless, with most cars like mine, the shift boot, you got leather wrapped all around it. You really can't see what's going on. Great, it's still fun. But this, you can actually see all the details. And here's a nice close-up. The whole center column is carbon fiber. Got that nice metallic shift knob. And you can see all the shift linkage all around it. It's fully exposed. It's beautiful. So the side, I don't know, to me, it's just is brilliant engineering. And to me, it's so neat because it's very rare. The Spiker was a very rare bespoke sports car that was only made for a couple of years. And that was, in terms of anecdotally speaking, when I'm looking at car shows, that's a very few examples of where you can see this. Aston Martin being another one. And lately, I believe Lotus with the Esprit. There's only a couple cars you can really see the mechanisms really working in real time. And yeah, it's just so bizarre because you can see from the top of the shift knob, you see the little mechanism, then from the sides. So it's a very unique experience. And of course, you got the great, all carbon fiber interior. We got the bolstered seats for the track. Now, granted, that being said, the only sad part of this is, how many are they making? Did they say 37? Let me pull that up really quick. Oh, 38. I meant to say 37 because one's reserved for me. I mean, not really. Could probably afford perhaps the plastic model if they come out with it, put on my desk. But I mean, the sad part is, I'm not sure how many of these are actually going to be taken to the track as they're engineered and intended to be. Because again, there's a lot of garage queens where people buy a car, it's an investment, they'll throw it in the garage, and depending on the make and model, it might appreciate in value. Again, not financial advice. 99% of the time, cars go down in value. But when you have limited edition runs like this, that's where they can say maybe it'll go up. But it is cool to see this unique thing being made, as so many car companies seem to acquiesce to go to EV routes and hybrids and all these different things that, yeah, they have their use cases. But to me, I mean, this is a very, very unique thing. And again, the competition should be smarter. Ferrari and Lamborghini, they could, again, they're not going to double their sales. It's not that big of a market in terms of people who want a stick shift, but they would increase their sales if they offered it to the consumers and they actually listened to the feedback. As Porsche is known for this, and Aston Martin still offers a stick shift. Again, it's not even close to 50%. But, well, fascinatingly enough, Cadillac does too. The Cadillac CTS, was it CT4V Blackwing and the CT5V Blackwing, both stick shift options, they actually had a 50% take rate when it comes to consumers choosing the automatic versus the manual transmissions of those vehicles. So there are some cases where it actually does. I partially digress, and in this case, I smile when I do so, because yeah, there are a couple instances where the take rate for the manual is that much. For a Lamborghini, probably not. But why not do it? I feel like that would make a lot of people smile, be a great, unique automotive experience. Especially when you look at vintage Ferraris, some of the manual transmission options, or ones with that option, compared to automatic, they're selling for 2 to 3 times more. So you would think that they would, learn from that feedback, but nevertheless, it is nice to see Aston Martin continuing to have that big displacement, the V12 and a stick shift. One of these days it'd be a dream to drive one of those things. Definitely have to add that to the bucket list. And definitely, handcrafted, England, all that kind of stuff. It's part of their culture, and it's cool to see them continue to make that. So some good business news to start off the day. Happy to say that. Other interesting business news, unfortunately, John Deere is projected to lay off 600 of their production workers across Iowa as well as Illinois. Or if you're from there, usually called Illinois. But nevertheless, this comes to us thanks to a local ABC affiliate. And they say, quote, John Deere laid us off around 600 employees in Davenport, as well as East Moline and Dubuque, which, I mean, I don't know how many people, if you're not from Iowa, you probably don't know those areas, but Hawkeye, I recognize a couple of them. They say that they will be laid off by August 30th. So, in silver lining, hopefully, their bosses are giving them heads up, and while they're working this job, maybe at night they're doing applications to see for new jobs, so they have a little bit of a buffer or time frame. So that way they don't, lose your job today, and depending on circumstances, have to rely on employment or your life savings. So again, this, to me, I always try to find a silver lining, so that's good that maybe they give a little heads up. Now, in terms of the breakdown, they say that the breakdown will come from the John Deere Harvester Works in East Moline, Illinois. That's going to be a cut of 280 production employees. They say that the John Deere Davenport Works in Davenport, Iowa, is going to be laying off 230 production employees. Then, of course, they are going to have the John Deere Dubuque Works in Dubuque, Iowa. That's going to be 100 employees being laid off from the production team. And I'm not sure if I misspoke, it's the East Moline, Illinois location was for the first one. They note that according to the release, layoffs are being made following the reduced demand for Deere's products from these factories, with industry sales expected to decline in the future. Definitely not good. They say that employees who are laid off will be eligible to be recalled to the home factory, with those laid off placed in seniority order or return for new openings. Which, unfortunately, given the market trend, and again, you see similar, there's not a lot of competition in terms of these giant agricultural machines. You have Case New Holland being a big competitor, as well as Caterpillar in some regards for different machineries, large machineries that these companies manufacture. But definitely sad business news. Hopefully they're able to find some gainful employment at another location in the future. And yeah, these people sometimes forget. I mean, the John Deere tractors aren't the ones you see. Well, they do see, the small ones when you go to like the Home Depot or Lowe's, where those might be a couple $100, relatively speaking. But these factories are the ones where they're the size of like a school bus or more. They cost, yeah, a pretty penny for farmers, so it's prohibitive in many cases to purchase new ones. And we've seen a lot of farmers moving away from this brand, particularly the past couple of years, because of the right repair. And a lot of these companies like to lock them in. That's why a lot of farmers use the older, more vintage equipment, because you can actually repair it yourself. So it will be interesting to see. Hopefully, they're able to find some gainful employment at a future location or future company in the upcoming couple of months. A little bit of sad news for John Deere today. Other interesting business news: Ford claims that they will have a profitable EV at $30,000 in a mere 2.5 years. I have no. They claim they're going to make that profitably, which must mean they have some magical technology no one knows about. Maybe. Well, probably not. But let's dive into the article from CNBC. And it's from Michael Wayland, who's a particular writer for this. And they say, quote, Ford expects to introduce a $30,000 all-electric vehicle that will be profitable in roughly 2.5 years, according to CEO Jim Farley last Friday during the Aspen Ideas Festival, which, I mean, even if this was like $1990, every day, because of the government ineptitudes left and right, a dollar is worth less and less and less. We have 40-year hyperinflation. So I'm extremely pessimistic when it comes to this headline. Now, Farley said that Americans need to, quote, get back in love with small cars instead of larger ones, which is hilarious because small cars are garbage from manufacturers because they don't make money on it. I remember when I was in the automotive community, the Chevy Cruze, which I love, I had a little Chevy Cruze Eco myself, the stick shift, as all cars should have by default. I mean, dealerships would lose about like $483 per sale. They're trash. The only way they made money was with financing, accessories, and the service lifetime of the vehicle. Which, shoot, even when I bought that thing, I think I got like 8 free oil changes or something like that. It was a pretty good deal, and I got mine used from a random dealer, what was it, across state lines. But nevertheless, it's funny he's saying, oh yeah, you need to get back in love with these little cars. Your company doesn't make them anymore because you couldn't make money on them. Which, again, from a business perspective, I understand that's why Ford makes a lot of the F1. They make the most popular truck in the United States. They make a lot of SUVs and crossovers. That's where the consumer is willing to spend more money, and that's where the consumer sees more value. Those are the most popular things that Ford makes, and truth be told, most automotive companies. That's why you see less and less of these entry-level, low price point, little small cars. Americans also have that preference; they want larger cars in general. Unfortunately, as Americans have become larger themselves. I mean, just go into like a 2000s era Japanese car, and you feel, and some Americans can't even fit in these days. Again, another topic for another time, perhaps. Probably Chris Farley, or sorry, a little brain fart there. Now, Mr. Jim Farley said it's crucial for Ford to make profitable EVs in the next 5 years as Chinese automotive makers continue to expand globally, which that is the big elephant, or rather the biggest panda in the room. China's already making production facilities in Mexico, or some people call it Mexico. And guess what? Biden's tariff on Chinese EVs, so China can't import them directly from China. Well, guess what? That doesn't apply to cars that are made in Mexico. China just sets up legal entities in Mexico, and they're going to make the cars there. Mexico is much more attractive from a business perspective in terms of having a much, much lower price point in terms of cost of labor, as well as they don't have the EPA kneecapping them left and right. So that's why there's many reasons why you see automotive companies going, also you don't have the UAW, also known as the unions for the automotive manufacturers in the United States. They're also not in Mexico. There's many reasons why businesses are popping up in Mexico past decades when it comes to the automotive segment or industry in particular. Which, going back to this, Chris Farley said, again, brain fart again, Jim Farley. Although, interestingly enough, they are related. So Farley did not release many other details on the vehicle, which is being developed by Ford's Skunk Works team, which is hilarious. So they have a whole special team dedicated to this, which Skunk Works, fun little business fact, if you look into Lockheed Martin, that was their special division, their subdivision, their group, actually made some of the most advanced vehicles and airplanes in history. And they did have a cute little skunk icon. Now, he said that their main competitors are expected to be Chinese automotive manufacturers such as BYD and anticipated entry-level cars from U.S. EV leader Tesla. Farley said Ford is focusing on smaller EVs instead of larger all-electric trucks and SUVs, which have historically been gas-powered profit engines for the company because such vehicles are, quote, never going to make money, which he's saying the quiet part out loud in terms of the F-150 Lightning just bleeding money. Again, they lost $131,000 per EV sold last quarter. again, there's a big upfront investment. You got new factories, new machineries. That's why these car companies, even Rivian, last year is 130 something. They're down to $39,000 loss per vehicle sold. It does take a lot of time and a lot of units sold to actually get to the profit point. Now, Mr. Farley said, quote, "We have to make a radical change as an automaker to get a profitable EV. The first thing we need to do is really put all of our capital towards smaller, more affordable EVs. That's the duty cycle, and we found that really matches these big, huge, enormous EVs. They're never going to make money. The battery is $50,000. The batteries will never be affordable," unquote. Which, again, I don't know who's going to be the lucky, or rather, more accurately, the brilliant engineer who files a patent for the new battery technology. But in terms of breaking through and really having an EV revolution, that's really, in my opinion, what needs to happen. Lithium ion is prohibitively expensive. As he said here, $50,000 for a battery. Also, conceptually, I think this trash is, again, it's like a smartphone. You're locked in terms of an EV. And, I mean, if my car, heaven forbid, it ever goes bad, which statistically speaking is less likely because it's Japanese manufactured, well, you just go to the junkyard or you get a spare engine for a couple $1,000 and, you just swap that in with an independent automotive, mom and pop shop. EVs, you're locked in, and guess what? You get that one battery from that one supplier. It can be up to $50,000. Jeez Louise. Now, he said that, quote, they also said, a Ford spokesman later clarified Farley was referring to large vehicles such as the company's Super Duty models or vehicles that require massive batteries to achieve significant EV range of 500 miles. They claim that he's totally not referring to the F-150 Lightning or next generation EVs. Ford said that earlier this year is postponing production of large three-row SUV and a plant in Canada to 2027 from its initial plan of 2025. It also postponed next generation pickup, codenamed T3, to late 2025 to 2026, which, would be an interesting name for one. But yeah, he's saying, I don't know how he's going to do it. And I did, I guess I need a fact check. I said they lost $131,000 per vehicle. That's incorrect. They lost $132,000 per EV sold. So not doing great for it. Granted, their losses were even worse last year. Now, he also says, quote, "If we cannot make money on EVs, we have competitors who have the largest market in the world, who already dominate globally, already setting up their supply chain around the world. And if we don't make profitable EVs in the next 5 years, what's the future? We'll just shrink into North America," which, and globally, who's the biggest automotive maker, most successful one? Toyota. They're making a lot of hybrids, which is, again, one of the fastest growing segments in the automotive industry that consumers prefer is hybrid technology. Granted, not for me. I prefer stick shift and car that'll last over 200,000 miles. But nevertheless, I don't know how he's going to try to convince Americans they want a small EV. Changing the culture and buying preference of folks, that's one of the most difficult things, bar none, in business, especially when it comes to I don't see the pendulum swinging back. Also, you have the government working against you. Well, most every day, but in this case, the EPA and government mandates. One of the reasons cars get bigger and bigger and bigger, well, part of it is safety. They want to have couple zones half the size of a Humvee in terms of, distance to crush. And you have to have, inherently, it just makes it more difficult because every year cars have to be safer, which, again, that usually means more airbags, more sensors. So things that increase the weight of the vehicle. Then the EPA also wants them to be more fuel efficient. So there are many reasons why very few small cars are left out there on the market. And there are many reasons why Americans are moving away from those. And even if, again, he has a union to worry about too. That's the most expensive labor in terms of the automotive community. The United States laborized or unionized labor is prohibitively expensive. You're talking about $75 just to have someone put a tire in a car, even though they're using a machine. And one of the biggest costs is the legacy cost, paying out people who are already retired. There are many reasons why that was detrimental. One of the, not the single, but one of the greatest contributing factors of why companies like General Motors as well as Chrysler went bankrupt during 2009 were the unions. They're much more expensive, much less efficient, and they just happen to make vehicles that are much less reliable than the competition. Granted, you could also blame the parts manufacturers and suppliers or the quality assurance departments that they allegedly have, but they have the most expensive labor. They don't have the best engineers in terms of becoming a tech company and getting to the EV automotive industry. So let's say magically Farley is able to get the best engineers on the planet to come work for Ford. Okay, where are you going to make this? Let's say you make it in Mexico. That'd be a great way to cut costs, make it a lot more affordable. That'd be a good one. Depending on depending politically speaking, who's in office, maybe there's less tariffs, maybe there's more tariffs. How will you get that price point so low to Americans, to you to make money at $30,000? Again, every day the dollar is worth less because of the ineptitudes of the U.S. government. I don't see how it's able to happen. Even if you get because again, the more units you sell, the more you get, the less it costs per unit. But even if you sell so many of these, I don't see how they can conceivably make a profit on it. Even if they try to introduce something like a subscription service and they charge every month for heated seats like BMW tried to do a couple years ago, which actually got major public backlash. I don't conceivably see how they can make a profit, even if they add completely automated factories. Just, again, you really do need a new material for the batteries. Just, again, there are engineers around the globe at many companies working on what's going to be the next generation or the next better, more efficient form of energy. But, lithium ion. So, again, consumers don't like small cars on average, to summarize, and I don't see how to get the price point down. And anecdotally speaking, in terms of, anecdotally, I live in Texas. I know 2 people who do have EVs. They are leasing them because the manufacturers are actually losing money at the price points that they're giving. It's a really good deal from a consumer perspective. But no, I take it back. I do know one person who has an EV. And granted, I know more than 3 people, so I'll get that unpopular. So they're not that popular. The rate of adoption for EVs is dramatically decreasing. And again, hybrids, that's the biggest growing consumer category. Will that still be the same next 5 years? I mean, what's going to push people to EVs? Less reliable, less efficient, more cost to ownership long term. It'll be interesting, more accurately, it will be interesting to see what the Ford family wants to do. Because again, they control the largest voting shares of stock. Again, you and I could go on the New York Stock Exchange and buy Ford stock if we feel so inclined. Again, not financial advice. But in terms of who's running the company, the Ford family is still very much in charge of the good old Dearborn, Michigan-based company. So do they agree with Jim? And Jim is a great, I like him in terms of he's an automotive enthusiast. He's a race car driver. I mean, he has passionately said, like, he doesn't care what GM does. He doesn't care what Chrysler does. He will always make an affordable V8 sports car. So that's cool. That's very rare. I would actually argue they won the Pony Wars in that regard, considering the new Camaro is going to be an EV, apparently, and the new Charger's inline 6 and EV, apparently. So I think it's safe to say they won the Pony Wars. But in terms of, Ford getting that price point, making a profit in 2.5 years, where inflation is probably going to get worse, I don't see how it's going to work out. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Planet Fitness allegedly having a male employee watching a female customer in the locker room topless. Which, I don't think we should be too surprised. Their name has been dragged through the mud for a couple months now. Planet Fitness probably has 2 policies that I think are most controversial of all the things they do. In addition to being a rudimentary gym that actually doesn't want people to actually get fit and work out, where they have an alarm bell ring if you make too much noise or actually push yourself. So in addition to them being inept in terms of not being a good place to actually get fit, they have a couple things working against them in terms of the culture perspective people are taking into account. One of the most controversial things is they allow biological men to change in women's locker rooms. Now, the more horrifying thing is that many of these gyms actually have that same policy, including LA Fitness, including 24-hour fitness. And again, for women's safety and common sense, most people would say, no one gives a damn what you do in the bedroom, but a locker room at a gym probably doesn't make the other sex or gender feel comfortable. Probably want a little bit of privacy, especially when there are children in those rooms as well. So that was a big point of controversy. They also had another thing where they would allow employees to wear pride swag all year round. However, if you wanted to display something like an American flag, that's only appropriate for 1 or 2 or 3 days a year. So those 2 things were the biggest controversial things we've seen in Planet Fitness in the past 12 months. Now, this was brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, more Planet Fitness fails. Woman claims she was topless in the Planet Fitness women's locker room, and a male employee was there looking at her. She went to the desk, and they brushed her off. Planet Fitness isn't safe for women and girls. Stay away. Wait. I was going to say, this gal's voice is infinitely better than mine, of course. Granted, the bar might be very low, some might argue. But it's only about 1:23. We'll go ahead and I'll see what her side of the story is.
Trying to be dramatic.
Oh, come on now.
Trying to be dramatic, but I'm literally shaking. 3 days a week I go to the same gym and I change in the locker room and it's always the same fucking thing. Well, today, as I was changing and I was topless, I look over and a man that works at the fucking gym is coming out of the women's restroom. And he looked at me.
A little bit late for it, but apologies. Have earmuffs on if you are having children listening. Granted, this is a children-friendly topic as well.
And we made eye contact and I am not trying to be dramatic, but I did not have a shirt on, I did not have a bra on, and I just feel really...
I was going to say, I was freaked out. I thought she was driving. I think she parked now, but I digress.
Violated that he saw me. I go to this gym all the time. I change in the women's locker room, which means I am accepting a risk that other women might see me, and I am okay with that. But I just feel like really yucky that a man saw part of my naked body that I did not want to see my naked body. And I totally embarrassed myself because it was hard for me to like come down. And again, I'm really not trying to be dramatic, but it was hard for me to come down from it. And I just went to the front desk and I was like, that's fucking unacceptable. And I basically went off and cussed this dude out. And then the chick at the front desk, she's like, ma'am, like he was talking to you calmly. I'm like, this is a big fucking deal. And also at this gym, they have a free membership for teenagers all summer. I'm like, what if that had been an underage girl who was just, I don't know. I think I'm just triggered, but it just really upset me. And it upset me that like they were so nonchalant about it as if it's not a big deal. I think it is a big deal.
Well, I mean, for them it isn't. It's like company policy. And it's disgusting.
Trying to be dramatic.
I mean, personally, I think it's disgusting that it happened. It's what I was going to say. It's one of the main reasons I don't patron there. I also am very fortunate to the point where like I rent a house for mostly for work in terms of square footage, but I was able to get myself a little, small little treadmill and a little bench press, so I just work out at home. But yeah, one of the main reasons I know many of my friends don't patronize that gym anymore is because of these policies. We've known that for about a year. Again, this isn't victim shaming. I feel bad for her. But I'm not surprised that the employee at the front desk wasn't concerned for her safety. Let's just say that much. And this went pretty viral. Got 1.2 million views and 21,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, Planet Fitness needs to be bankrupt. Unacceptable business practices, getting 1,000 likes. Paul Suzupa says, we need a real DOJ that will do something about these attacks on women. Which, I mean, now that's the thing. I don't know what the Department of Justice would do unless they had a new federal law. Because, again, this is a private-based business. Now, granted, I don't agree with this policy. It'll be interesting to see if the federal government ever actually does get involved in it. And because, again, it'd be very interesting to see how these gyms navigate this as well. Because many states have different laws on this. And most of these gyms are all over the United States. I don't know if the DOJ will take this topic on. Maybe if Trump gets elected, there'd be a higher propensity that would happen. But right now, no way. I don't think that would happen from a federal perspective. You have private citizen saying we shouldn't have to live like this. Is a perv in the rain jacket? The flash jacket, which I don't think we've seen since like the 1950s. When was the last time you saw one of those? A little ADHD question. And he has a Vote Democrat shirt under it. He has a camera. He's walking to the women's restroom. He says, relax, I'm transgender. They got 376 likes. Gizmo says, Planet Fitness isn't safe for women and girls. Stay away. And in this picture of Planet Fitness, it says, Planet Fitness, where we encourage men to use women's bathrooms. That got 427 likes. Scrolling down more and more. I Love American News says, the Planet Fitness by my house has free workouts for all 14 to 17-year-old children all summer. Know where your kids are. Yeah, that's quite concerning. That got 360 likes. Got a little cartoon of a man in a women's locker room. It says Planet Fitness. He says, don't stop undressing. That's transphobic. Got 222 likes. Let's see. Red Wave Press, which I was about to say A plus for marketing. However, it is in fact a red wave, but it is not falling upon an old vintage printing press, which to me would make an A plus for marketing, but I partially digress. This alleged Red Wave Press says Planet Fitness is not safe for women. Give them a Bud Light and a Tractor Supply treat. Getting 590 likes. Now that being said, especially right now, not gonna hurt their sales much. Again, when it comes to gyms, a vast majority of all their revenue and profit comes from January because everyone makes these New Year's resolutions. And again, it's very profitable for the gym because more often than not, unfortunately, many people do not stick to those resolutions. So they'll sign up. They'll allow their membership to be charged every month, but they don't actually utilize the materials in the gym. So there's no depreciation on the machines. And it's a very profitable business if you can build up that customer base. And again, if all these controversies happen in like early January, that's where I think you might see a change in the business. However, that being said, a lot of the national chains of gyms, they have the exact same policies. So that's why we saw the stock went down to like 400 million when the first news broke out months ago when it came to this policy coming to public in terms of men's and women's locker rooms. But then the stock was bought by people the cheap. So long term, stock's pretty much about the same. Going down more and more. Let's see, same contrarian news. Booker 9 says they blocked me a while ago when I asked why do they let men dressed as women go inside the women's locker room? And it's Planet Fitness saying he's been blocked. Got 99 likes for that. Of course, Planet Fitness has a little pride logo in that one. Now, interestingly enough, Planet Fitness has also not posted since February this year, which in terms of social media, that's like 150 years, relatively speaking. Especially if you're a business like that where you have vast amounts of resource allocation, you probably have a couple people full-time dedicated like per social media platform. Allegedly, they probably just don't do anything now. I got 99 likes. Let's see, is any contrarian statements? 4.1 says leave Planet Fitness period, getting 36 likes. Rayon J says, yes, this is totally a big deal. How could they think this is okay? She's absolutely right. That got 100 likes. Not seeing any contrarian statements. And again, there are some people who might go to these gyms because of this policy. Mostly creeps, but in my opinion. But again, a lot of people in San Francisco probably agree with this. I wonder if these policies really do increase their overall sales. Because again, you also have your ESG rating if you're publicly traded. I mean, a lot of the financial institutions and hedge funds will invest in you because of your social policies. So maybe, but I can't help but think all these policies are just alienating more current and prospective customers than ever. I don't see how it's profitable for them. And you can tell, I mean, when was the last time I actually went there? I don't think I've walked inside. I did tour Planet Fitness once when I first moved out of the apartments a couple years ago. Looked at a couple, and yet they didn't really impress me that much from it as a gym perspective either. But let me know in the comments. When's the last time you actually went to a Planet Fitness? And because of this policy, again, being reinforced, would you ever go again? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Time Magazine has Biden walking off the cover, which is interesting. Time has had some of the most prolific and sometimes evil men in history on the cover. You never know who's going to win Man of the Year. Now, this was brought to us thanks to Libs at TikTok, and she says, holy schlit, Time cover, which I don't know if that's a typo or just something the youth is saying today's. Instead of shit, they say schlit. Sounds cool. Sounds hip, I guess. This apparently is from, let's see here. In this picture of Time Magazine, and it simply says, in small little text, panic, and Biden's literally, instead of being the center of the frame of the picture, he's walking off. Unassisted, I should clarify, so some might find that impressive. And this went really viral. Got 1.9 million views and 31,000 likes. Wow. They have Paul Zupa saying they're all in on it. I don't buy any of this is spontaneous. Getting 783 likes. Let's see here. Yeah, the random guy saying, oh my god, look at Joe's face. What are they doing to him? And he's standing while his caretaker, wife, Jill's really standing at a podium in a shirt or dress that just says vote like 100 times. I don't want to say this F- for marketing, but it's a little blunt in terms of trying to get a message across. Now, if I had Photoshop, skills or I just sharpened my Microsoft Paint skills a little bit, it'd be funny if someone were to just Photoshop it so that Jill's dress, instead of just saying vote all over it, they just added like in red, because again, it's a black dress with white font that says vote, just add in red font like Trump under all the votes. That'd be kind of funny. That'd be a good one. That got 200 likes. Scrolling down more and more, you have Libercat Media TM saying, wow, historic, he made two covers of Time in 1 year. Oh, geez. And someone added the Photoshop, it says shower time. It's Biden and his daughter getting 622 likes. Red Wave Press says Obama is still hiding behind Joe. He's not going anywhere, getting 156 likes. Oh, jeez. What is that? Star Trek? Or Star Wars? Jay Whitney says only extras and boomers will get this one. And Joe Biden singing I remember the parody on Futurama when I was a kid. They had a parody because I remember, like, he's sitting in a washing machine. He has Biden 2024 on it. He's being pushed by Obama, Xi Jinping, and George Soros. I guess 14 likes. Let's see. Jerry Mez says game over. There's a little picture of Biden, or cartoon of Biden licking ice cream, which, yeah, that is what he's known for. It says Biden should be president. CNN, June 27, 2024. Got 89 likes. So even Time, which again, they've been, if you look at the, oh jeez. Time, again, this was photoshopped. It's a Time magazine cover. It says rejoice and is Trump dancing and Biden's falling down. Okay, 122 likes. Someone else says Biden and says Time and says for diaper change. And I got 73 likes. Ethan says find someone who kisses you the way Joe Biden kisses his granddaughter, which, yeah, that's cringe to say the least, as youth might say. I think that's a popular term nowadays, cringe. Got 38 likes for that. Yeah. Which, again, you even have CNN and mainstream media putting out articles about how he should be pushed out or replaced. A lot of them actually have these print media ready to go right after the debate, which, again, that's what kind of fuels a lot of theories of, wait a minute, was this the plan all along? Because when it comes to print media, you have to do that in advance. So it's interesting to see even something like Time Magazine starting to turn the page, pun intended, when it comes to this type of coverage and political pieces. And it'll be interesting to see what's the cultural shift around the water cooler. I mean, what do you and your friends think of the debate? I mean, do you know anyone who thinks Biden won the debate? That'd be especially fascinating. I'd love to interview them. Of course, let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Trump at 67% and Biden at 33% following the debate. And this is via a CNN poll, which, granted, every news outlet has their own bias, of course, some more than others. If CNN has you at 33%, that's definitely not great for Biden. Now, this was brought to us thanks to End Wokeness on X Twitter, in which she says, quote, breaking. Poll, 67% of CNN viewers say Trump won the debate versus 33% for Biden. Now, that being said, how many of them they're asking who won the debate, not who would they vote for necessarily. That's an important thing to say, or take into consideration. This is a screenshot of the CNN poll. It says who won the debate, and it says margin of error plus or minus 5.5 points. And it says CNN flash poll results of tonight's CNN debate. So again, this is a couple days earlier. Got 5.9 million views and 74,000 likes, which I would love to have a drink with the 33% of the people in that poll who said they thought Biden won the debate. Just to think, because again, I'd be fascinated to hear legitimately, what was your favorite part, or what ideals did he articulate specifically that resonated with you, the prospective voter? I mean, I legitimately, I'd be fascinated to hear that. I watched the whole debate. It was painful and hilarious as well, and a little bit depressing all at the same time in terms of this is the best our country has to offer. And yeah, Biden mainly just recycled old talking points throughout his whole 50-year run in politics. I didn't hear any new ideas on how he's going to fix the country. So maybe I'm wrong. It's happened from time to time. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying that CNN, everybody, CNN got 221 likes. Planet of Memes says, wow, and CNN viewers are leftards, getting 106 likes. Planet of Memes, though, that's 0 for 1 today. You're supposed to respond in meme form. Nevertheless, let's see. Well, it's about 14 seconds, but probably most. It was a little disappointing that there weren't more zingers, which, again, Trump did act with a lot of decorum during the debate. He's much more a cliche presidential type, but I think a lot of people do appreciate the old, the old left punch from the boxing metaphor. This is from Amit Shah, parody account. It says, love him or hate him, this was one of the coolest moments in the debating history. This is one of the most liked comments on this whole chain, and it's only about 14 seconds, and truth be told, that Trump's voice is, of course, infinitely better than mine. So we'll play him and Hillary really quick.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
I mean, that is one of his top 10 statements in his life that he'll be remembered for. I mean, that was, if you're watching that debate live, it was, as youth might say, legendary. Or, as Trump might say, perhaps, legendary, the best. But his voice, of course, that's probably the worst Trump impression you hear all year. If you thought so, let me know in the comments. Again, that got 2,000 likes. Rally Production says, I'm surprised they got 33% of viewers to lie like that, getting 3.5 thousand. Western Lensman says they pulled 3 people and one that was Jill Biden. Got 5.1 thousand likes. One bad dude said 33% have to be mentally handicapped. Got 5.9 thousand likes for that comment. Democrat Media TM says 33%. How the hell could you watch this debate and think this man is fit to be office? Someone had a Photoshop can of Lord knows what's in there. It says, Zero malarkey, Biden, dumb F juice. Got 619 likes. Here. Amit Shah parody account says Joe Biden walking off the stage compared to Donald Trump is hilariously accurate. And so when, after the debate, Trump simply walked off the stage and Biden had his handler or wife or which come up and actually guide him down those 2 steps. And they carried, not technically picking him up and carried him, but guided him off the entire thing. Got 1,000 likes. Let's see. Wall Street Ape says, even CNN says Joe Biden got obliterated. This was a unmitigated disaster for President Biden from the second he walked out to the closing statement. He got 357 likes. Mr. Truth Moment says Trump says he couldn't understand what Biden said. Same here. Got 740 likes. Is any contrarian statements. Again, 33% say he's awesome. Here's a fun comparison from 2020. So this is from Heather 007. Secret agent. Heather, though. Interesting. She says, check out his numbers from 2020 compared to now. The left is panicking. This is, 2020, Biden said, wow. The first debate in 2020, Biden was rated at 60%. Trump was at 28%. The second debate in 2020, Biden was at 53%. Trump skyrocketed to 39%. And of course, it's the first debate, 2024. Trump again at 67% compared to Biden at 33%. That is astronomical growth. I mean, some might say Trump is the NVIDIA stock of politics. Ha! Little IT pun for the people who follow those crazy stocks and how NVIDIA, that graphics card manufacturer, just skyrocketed to the moon. That got 148 likes. Brian says 100% of what the 33% look like. Instead of cliche girl who looks like a guy, well, short hair, beanie, glasses, and she has the raincoat on, which, F- for, fashion, of course. And it's the girl who famously, after Trump won, she just broke down to her knees and cried like a child because her person didn't win the election. It got 617 likes. Woke Archive says, what could have possibly influenced this poll? And is fine just staring, looking lost. At least he had a suit on, though. He did something right. And it's a good suit, I'm sure. Got 295 likes. AKA says only 67%, getting 503 likes. The real Big J says 33% didn't even watch. Let's see. So it'll be interesting to see. And again, this is just a quick poll asking who won the debate. Now that's one thing though, but it'll be interesting to see what the polls are in terms of, who you're still going to vote for, or who do you think, which party is going to be best for the country going forward. That's an entirely different question, and who knows, might be completely different results. But as I always say, time shall tell. Other interesting business news, you have the Texas Supreme Court upholds the ban on sex change for minors. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she explicitly said, quote, breaking, Texas Supreme Court upholds Texas ban on sex change surgeries for minors. Huge W. See the Texas Supreme Court justices. They got 1.1 million views and 94,000 likes. Just quite a few to say the least. The first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, welcome to Texas, huge win, getting 278 likes. Planet of Memes, 0 for 2 today for responding in meme form, because again, this is just text. Says, quote, every state should ban these surgeries for minors, getting 232 likes. Paul Zupa says, children win, getting 81 likes. The Democrat Media TM says, 49 more states to go. There's a little picture that says, leave the kids alone, and a kid is throwing up the rainbow. They got 331 likes. Now, that being said, places like California, Minnesota, or Illinois, they'll never ban this. They literally quite bombastically they proudly exclaim that they define themselves as sanctuary cities or sanctuary states as well for many things. So, yeah, I don't see the other states following. I got, again, 331 likes. Livercat Media TM says, quote, remember, folks, keep telling your kids, no one has to keep going along with this weird shit. And each word is juxtaposed with one of the pride flags. There's many of them for all the different sexual ones. I got 526 likes. Cash Lorenz says, we must protect children, innocence. Any doctor who mutilates children should be in prison. Gave 126 likes. Task Force 84 says, we keep winning. It's about damn time. No wonder they had gates placed up at the Supreme Court. These rulings are coming out. Getting 271 likes, which pretty sure those gates are at the federal or federal Supreme Court. This is from the Texas, but nevertheless, I understand her point. Valentina Gomez says, every state has to follow. We need to protect children from these harmful procedures that castrate them. Getting 464 likes. I already like it, but maybe I'll get it 465. Oh, no way. What are the odds? Well, granted, we're not the only person looking at this post, but it did actually go up to 468 likes. Let's see. Jay Whitty says, huge, with a picture of Trump. And it says, am I really debating a retard? Getting 99 likes. Let's see here. These are any contrarian statements. Texas Family Project says, huge win. Texas is and will always be the best state in the country for families, getting 75 likes. Let's see here. Gildion 6 says the Supreme Court, Texas just is a huge win for the kids, getting 62 likes. Broadway Press says, let's go. I'm glad some people have the courage to stand up for innocent children, getting 55 likes. Edelia Downing says, thank God, getting 28 likes. Trying to see if there's any contrarian statements. I'm not seeing them yet. And I'm scrolling pretty hard. People getting between 2 and 6 likes, talking about common sense, saying these doctors are evil, they should be prosecuted. But yeah, overwhelming popular support. And it will be interesting to see how many other states follow. I mean, we do have other states that are quite, again, bombastically applauding, saying these procedures are good for the kids. And there are people moving to those states for partially that reason. So I think it'll further divide the United States from a federal level. I think that'll be interesting to see if that becomes one of the debate topics for the 2024 election. I think it should be. I think it's one of the most important things that are affecting our country, especially in the long term. That being said, I doubt they bring it up on the debate stage when they do, if they even do have a second debate for the presidential election. But let me know, are you surprised to see more and more states, passing these protections for children? Do you think this will just cause the country to divide more as people maybe migrate out of Texas and leave to California? I mean, that'd be a terrible thing. Yeah, awful. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Biden's get knocked down but get back up speech going viral and getting some support. At least in person, not so much online. But nevertheless, he did post this. Now, this comes from Biden's Twitter account, which, let's be honest, is just Karine Jean-Pierre, the fruit lady. I mean, what kind of name is Pierre? French or fruit? Close as ridiculous as a name like Topping. Oh, wait. I partially digress, but nevertheless, she has been caught multiple times tweeting for Biden when, yeah. He also had someone tweeting for Biden when he was on the debate stage. He's not really posting this account, but nevertheless, allegedly Biden posted this saying, quote, my dad had an expression. He said, champ, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how quickly you get back up. I'm told there's even a song about it. Which, I doubt his dad actually said that. It's one of those politician things where they make up so many cliches. But let's hear what Biden attempts to say. And he did suit up for this event. A little casual. Looks like his button-up shirt, something you get from a Target or perhaps a Walmart in terms of it's just a vertical striped shirt with white buttons on it. Granted, I'm no fashion aficionado, but yeah, where's the tie? He's ultra casual. The top button is undone. You're a presidential candidate. Very unusual. I only partially jest. Let's hear what he has to say.
I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up. I get knocked down.
Garbage song. He looks so lost. How many seconds is that? All right, so he says the line. 1, 2, 3. He looks so awkward. That's coming from me. Truth be told, I'm an awkward person. But yeah, he just looks lost. Now, granted, he did say something that was articulate. Rare thing. I'm not sure what type of prescriptions or pharmaceuticals he may or may not be utilizing for this particular speaking event. But again, the crowd went wild. And again, there are millions of people, Americans, who will vote for Biden just because he's Democrat, and there are a lot of people who vote for Trump just because he's a Republican. Those votes are kind of locked in. It's really, talking about the Libertarian Party, how many people make me pull away from them, and the people in the middle. But this went pretty well. It got 5.7 million views. This is directly from his alleged profile. But only got 44,000 likes, which it's not the best ratio we've seen. Now, again, the whole crowd is very bombastic, enthusiastic. And it is an old adage, cliche saying, I mean, truth be told, that's why I can't talk too much smack about Biden in terms of his speaking aptitudes. Truth be told, I have many of my own, which is why I always tell people, if you do me a favor, click that subscribe button. I have that theory. When I first started the show, believe it or not, I spoke a lot quicker. I stumbled over my words, mispronounced things. But as I've gained more and more subscribers, my speaking has slowly but surely improved, and I've been able to articulate it, slow down my speech a little bit, be a little bit more, maybe changing the vocals so it's not so monotone. And I have to thank the audience, because that's happened at the same time I've got more subscribers. So I have a theory. If you click that button, it very well may assist with my speaking ineptitudes and decreasing them, and increasing my speaking acumen, so that someday I can get through a whole episode, speak perfectly articulate. I know that's a pie in the sky goal, but if you click that button and subscribe, or if you already have, click the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, again, one of the first comments comes from Bob World, and he simply says, "Are you pooping here?" And it's, 19 seconds of Joe with his wife, with that rudimentary dress that says "vote."
I saw in him then the same character that I see in him today. And even though he has faced unimaginable tragedies, his optimism is undaunted. His strength is unshakable. His hope is undeterred.
I don't know. He might just be looking awkward there and just kind of spacing out. His strength is certainly diminishing. We all will, inevitably, as we get older. But I've been following Biden for years in terms of watching his interviews, his press just throughout the years, you can just see him declining. And he's human. We all will, until we become humanoid robots, which with the neural link with Elon, we might. But I partially digress. Another topic for another time, perhaps. But yeah, saying he's just as strong now as he was before, I don't think so. That did get, again, so the comment about asking if he pooped got 3.5 thousand likes. That's the first comment, the most popular one. Well, let's see. Colin Rugg said, "You're doing great. Definitely don't step aside. You're 100% the best pick for Democrats in the 2024 election." At 1.6 thousand likes. Arthur Eagleman said, quote, "LOL, sure he did," getting 549 likes. Paul Zazupa says, "There's no getting up from dementia, sorry to say," getting 471 likes. Arthur Eagleman simply says, "You got this, champ," 274 likes. Let's see. Planet of Memes, F- for marketing today. They're 0 for 3. So again, not meme form. But this alleged Planet of Memes says, "I'm not sure you should do anything right now so quickly," getting 32 likes. Kristen Tate says, "Your dad was Rocky," got 5.1 thousand likes. Muhammad Hajab says, "You're not fit to be a leader of a household or small business, let alone the leader of the most powerful country in the world." That got 3.3 thousand likes. Laura Lermer says, quote, "There's no getting up when you have Alzheimer's/advanced dementia. Generally, your brain rots and then you die within 2 years of diagnostics. Trump will be in the White House in 2025, and you'll probably be on your deathbed in a hospice center where your brain and body rot away with the way you've made our country rot away. That's the truth, Joe. You see, if your wife Jill Biden loved you, she'd be telling you to spend your final moments with your grandkids instead of slobbering and drooling over a debate stage. TikTok." Orbit but got 3,000 likes, which, he has grandkids, some of which he acknowledges, some he ignores. But yeah, it'd probably be better use of your time. Finally, we did get a contrarian statement, because again, Biden's raising money, people still believe in him. Mike Davis, who describes himself as vote Democrat, animal rescuer, eye doctor, pastor, attorney, history, genealogy, DNA researcher, feminist / LGBTQIA plus BLM ally. I don't know what this means. A blue square, a sunflower, and an orange square. That's Mr. Mike Davis. Just a little background on him. Yeah. But nevertheless, Mike Davis says, true this, and his picture of the emoji of pointing down is Biden riding 3 sharks, and he's going after Trump. And it says, riding with Biden, which did somehow get 289 likes. Let's see here. 5 times August says, good grief. And it says, just a reminder, this is who is pretending to be Dementia Joe on social media. Got 328 likes with the profile pictures of the White House Deputy Platform Director. Are there 4 of those gals? Of course they're gals too. Let's see. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see here. Cynthia American Intruder says, wow, it's like Jill Biden was praising a toddler to get cheers and reinforced so they feel better. This man should not be having title of the U.S. president. That's 17 seconds long. Let's see. Maybe she's not patronizing Joe. Maybe she's giving positive encouragement and she's a very supportive wife. Not at all demeaning to him. Spoiler alert, it is, but let's see.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And
Yeah,
let
she's
me ask
evil.
the crowd, what did Trump?
She's proud because he answered every question. How low is that bar? I mean, ideally, if you did a good job, you say you kicked Trump to the curb. Your bullet points were more articulate than his. Your vision for the country is better. No, she's praising him for answering the questions, which I guess the bar was so low. That is something. Let me rewind it for 1 more second so you hear her terrible voice.
What did Trump do? Lie!
Is she going? Of course. I got 233 likes. So, yeah, praising him like a toddler. Let's see. Mindy says, Biden, at this point, even your dad wants you to quit, getting 1.9 thousand likes. Let's see. Mario says, MAGA is celebrating every victory way too early. Keep in mind, Mr. President, you got that. You got that, and we got your back. Terrible grammar. Of course, this person has a Ukrainian flag, the European Union flag. Interesting enough, they do have a, what is it? American flag in their profile. You don't see that a lot these days. Got 470 likes, though. So we have, what is that, 2 comments that are pro for Biden? And this is his profile. The United States is about 50-50 split. In theory, the social media should be about the same in terms of the feedback in the comments. Granted, I think on average, people are more left-leaning. Maybe they're using Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. Nevertheless, you also have Joe Lowe saying, this explains everything. Is Joe, falling down on his bicycle, getting 388 likes. Let's see. AKA says, like this if you're voting for Trump over this walking corpse, getting 814 likes. Oh, wait, we found a contrarian statement. CB says, I agree with Mr. President. The former guy is so big he couldn't get back up. I speak for all Americans. Definitely show Photoshopped because, Joe is actually kicking. And it's a Photoshop picture of Joe kicking Trump's butt out of the Oval Office. It says, hasta la vista. This just reminds me of the cliche of the left can't meme. They can. I've seen a couple, but this is just rudimentary to say the least. This is worse than my quote-unquote use of Microsoft Paint. That's, of course, rudimentary to say the least. It got 124 likes, though. Paratrooper Bradley says, did he teach you about showering with your daughter and molesting her? 460 likes. Let's see here. Brady with a B. Oh, I do appreciate that pun. They actually use the B emoji in their name as well. And perhaps it's dyslexia. It's Brandy with a B. Jeez Louise. Nevertheless, got 32 seconds of Biden doing something. What's he saying?
Donald Trump says he thinks Roe over.
Yeah. I'm gonna see the Democrat logo on the Titanic just falling down. What else does he try to say? Yeah, got 11 likes, and let's see. She says this intern is writing some cringe post, getting 146 likes. Which it would be fascinating to see who the heck is actually writing all these, because it's not Biden. It should be. Again, in terms of political transparency, we have the technology. Elon could enable something where if you're a political leader, you would have to authenticate. So every time you're tweeting, it does facial recognition. It'll see if it's actually you doing it. There's a reason there's front-facing cameras on your phones. It's not just for selfies. That's why the paranoid cybersecurity part of me just uses some tape to cover over it. Yes, I know you see the light up as well, so there's a little spoiler. But nevertheless, yeah, not looking great in these posts. And again, we did find, what was it, like 3 to 4 positive comments on that, but I mean, overwhelming, just negative. But again, it'll be interesting to see how does this actually play out in the polls. Well, again, we saw the poll on the debate, but what about who you're going to vote for type of polls with that specific question and how it affects fundraising? And spoiler alert, Biden's actually making some cash, as a rapper might say. Other interesting political news, you have Biden out fundraising Trump days after the debate. Now, this comes to us thanks to the Biden-Harris HQ, well, on X Twitter. And I don't know why they're leaning into this. Maybe they think it's hip or cool, but the logo is Joe Biden with the red eyes glowing like Superman, or like, what's the dumb thing that's trending on the YouTube these days? The Homelander? Like, I don't know. They call him dark branded for a reason. Again, that's a compliment. Maybe they're leaning into the meme. Now, yeah, this is from the Biden-Harris HQ. They say, quote, Fox new fundraising numbers after last night's debate show last night's showdown between President Trump and Donald Trump. Trump raised $8 million, while Biden campaign outraised them at $14 million. Now, that being said, Trump has, I think, raised the most money in history in terms of the day after the indictment. It was like, was it 3 figures, like hundreds of millions? And with most of the commentary around that, when I was reading on social media, almost like half the comments saying this is the first political donation they made in their lifetime, which is a very, very unique thing to say the least. And it's only about 22 seconds on Fox Business, which somehow still in business. I might account for 50% of their web traffic when I look at their business page, but I partially digress. We'll see what they have to say here.
We are getting some breaking news here. New fundraising numbers show last night's showdown between former President Trump and President Biden did not scare away donors on either side. According to the Trump campaign, the former president raised $8 million yesterday. And meanwhile, according to the Biden-Harris campaign, Biden raised $14 million between yesterday and this morning. But
it is kind of hilarious. There's a picture of Trump and Biden smiling and wearing suits, like right next to each other. Obviously it's a Photoshop. They're not hanging out, but that would be hilarious if they did. It would never happen, obviously, but yeah, at least they both look. Yeah, they're wearing suits. And as a wise man once said, you should always suit up and look your best in life. Now, didn't go as viral as I thought it would, but I mean, to me, that's a pretty interesting data point. Got a little under 100,000 views and 3,000 likes, which, again, I'm surprised. If they're smart, they probably break it down in percent. They should have broken down into a percentage where you could say it was nearly 50% more. Because again, in terms of the millions, I mean, they're both, overall, they're going to raise probably about $500 million to $1 billion for the presidential cycle. So, again, this small data point is a lot. That's why, very similar to sales and business, you'll often see if something's only 2 to 3% off, they're not going to say that. You're going to say the dollar amount. They're going to use whatever numbers sound better for the consumer. Now, one of the first comments comes from Maddie Spraya saying, this is, I didn't mean to laugh at this, but Mr. Matt Spiria, who's a hashtag blue, he's a true blue middle-aged dude, combat veteran, single father. Which is fascinating because when you look at who the Democratic Party cares for and where they put their money, resource allocations, it's certainly not for you. But nevertheless, he does say, quote, this is a strong data point about who will be the real winner. Got 39 likes, which I don't think so. Because again, both sides, Trump and Biden, will raise hundreds of millions of dollars for the presidential election. I don't think this small data point, because again, it's just a couple days. I found it interesting because it's the first time we've heard in a while where Biden's, in terms of a couple days, got more fundraising than Trump. So to me, that's what made this more interesting. Now, especially after the debate, maybe people just think Biden needs extra help because, again, according to CNN, that small poll, only 33% of people they polled thought that Biden won the debate. 67% thought Trump won the debate. Now you have Franklin saying, let's lock in Joe. There's a picture of Joe leaning back in a chair, then leaning forward in a chair. At least he is wearing the aviators in this cartoon, which, and that's consistent marketing. And again, that's a big part of business or politics. I got 10 likes. Push through BLM movement forever. Interesting profile name. Says, good, hope my monthly donation helps. Getting 22 likes, which, I don't, depends how much you're donating. Push blue. Interesting. Of course, their profile says systematic racism. Wait, systematic racist systems is evil. Let's see. Jack Lombardi, was this? A little reel of a Trump rally. Oh yeah, Trump rally with more people than you could possibly fathom. It is fascinating to see the juxtaposition of Trump rallies versus Biden rallies. I got 3 likes. Bella says Trump has raised $500 million thus far, getting 4 likes, which that's quite a pretty penny. Well, should clarify, a vintage pretty penny, which is mostly copper, interestingly enough, worth about 7 to 10 cents in melt value, whereas modern pennies are 99.99% zinc. They're just really cheaply just copper plated. Really just garbage, which is a sad metaphor for U.S. currency in our country. And Mayra T. Sahiro says it's a Biden thing, getting 3 likes. Eric T says laughy emoji, getting 2 likes. Let's see. Kevin Blunt says, does that include 10% for the big guy, or does that keep separate? Getting 9 likes. Catherine Knox says LMFAO must be all his rich friends, getting 3 likes. Let's see here. Words Matter says that's because after the Bragg verdict, Trump small donors gave and signed up for automatic monthly donations. They're forward. The $8 million is simply cherry on the top, getting 1 like. And quickly goes down to 0 and 1 likes here. But this is, interestingly enough, seems a lot more representative of the country in terms of half these comments are pro, half these comments are against. Let's see. Blind Hines says Joe Biden's lies from the debate. 1, suckers and losers lie. 2, Hitler did good things lie. 3, fine people lie. 4, my son died in Iraq lie. 5, I capped insulin at $15 lie. 6, I capped Medicaid drug expenses at $200 lie. 7, retaliation lie. 8, Trump said he would be a dictator lie. 9, no soldiers died on my watch. 10, border crossings were fewer than Trump lie. 11, unemployment was 15% under Trump lie. 12, Trump wants to get rid of Social Security lie. 13, billionaires pay 8.2% in taxes lie. 14, Trump said inject bleach lie. 15, Border Patrol endorsed me. And that was hilariously even more awkward because during the debate, the Border Patrol posted on Twitter, no, we absolutely did not endorse him. We endorsed Trump. Now, 16 said women need abortion because they were raped by family members lie. 17, Roe versus Wade does not allow late term and after birth abortions lie. I got 8 likes, one of the most popular ones. Catherine Knox says, you know, Bill, Hillary, George, Barbara, and all those rich people who love America. Getting 2 likes. They're interesting enough about kind of, I would say about 50-50. At the end of the day, it will be interesting to see, and it's crazy how much money is spent on politics and how much more they're going to be spending this year. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they both raise well over $1 billion. As crazy as that sounds, with well, we also have unprecedented hyperinflation, so dollars worth less and less and less. But there's so much riding on this presidential election. I think you're going to see people who have not voted in years are going to come out and vote. Not just the dead people, but real people as well. So personally, I think there's going to be even more political donations, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them both easily topping $1 billion. Because again, I mean, especially when they had the Trump indictments, I mean, half the comments I read were people saying this is my first ever political donation, which again, in terms of political emotional rhetoric and just that is so hard to have people, donate money to things in general and donate to politics because it's so. In some cases, it's hard to see that direct correlation because with most products and purchases we have in our life, you're going to the store, you're buying an Apple, usually a Macintosh, it tastes delicious. Or if you have lots of money, you buy a Macintosh computer, which, and you get a physical product. So that was much more tangible and easy to understand. Presidential things you might donate and the policies might affect your life, or most likely they will, but that takes years and months to take into effect. So it's a lot harder to convince people to donate, I think. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Fisker Ocean being recalled while the company is going through bankruptcy, which will be hurtful for all 13 of the people who bought them. I only partially jest, and interesting enough, I know one person who actually bought a Fisker Ocean, and I didn't make fun of him because he's a customer of mine. I should have. Into my head, as soon as he said it, I thought, the company has a high propensity of going bankrupt. They've gone bankrupt before. Mr. Fisker, his first company, and there's a lot of competition. They're not really making the cars. It's an OEM, and they're not really selling with a lot of volume. What are you going to do when they go out of business? Obviously, I just thought that in my head. Now, this comes to us thanks to Inside EVs, which is obviously one of the most, that's a pretty apt website in terms of, exactly what they're going to be talking about. They say, quote, Fisker, amid bankruptcy, recalls every single car in the U.S. The recall includes a mandatory stop sale as the availability of parts and service is questionable as Fisker's future. I won't say it's ugly as sin, but it's also, granted, I would never buy it. Granted, it's also an EV with only 2 pedals, and me, I only buy things and 3 pedals, as with manual transmission, as all cars should be by default. But again, that's just me. This is according to an article by Rob Strumpf, and yep, it's not good. He says, quote, Fisker has issued and caused by a, wow, it's even worse. Fisker says the issue was caused by a dimensional variation in the door handle measurements. An out-of-spec door handle could cause experience additional friction and not exert enough retracting force. The automaker estimates that around 3% of the 8,204 Fisker Oceans produced and sold in the U.S. are affected. Wow. They say that, geez Louise, on certain vehicles, the outer door handles may stick, preventing customers from entering or exiting the vehicle. Following thorough investigations, Fisker Engineering has identified this as a potential safety concern. The issue is critical in scenarios where the vehicle cannot be exited, likely due to the malfunctioning door mechanisms. Which again is one of the downfalls of, it's one of those things where sometimes I feel like making things more complex is just a pain in the rear end and not really worth it. I understand it looks hip or cool, I guess, to have these little door handles that pop out. But the conservative design in me wonders, why the hell do you change something that's been working for almost 100 years? And, well, granted, you could argue about the McLaren SL5, was it XL300? Not McLaren, geez Louise. Been a long day. Been a long day of having that kind of a brain fart. The Mercedes SL300, one of the most famous supercars ever, I believe. They have the little handles where they pop out, but that's not software, that's analog, it works. They just have to deal with software and much tighter tolerances. And if you're looking at the picture, if you're not seeing the show today, it has very similar door handles to like the Tesla where they pop out. So you just can't go up and grab it. Now, they say that, quote, service technicians can use a special tool to test if the vehicle is affected, and if so, Fisker's technical service bulletin calls for any faulty door handle to be replaced. This is Fisker's second stop sale in under a month. Fisker recently recalled all Oceans due to a powertrain module that could erroneously enter a protection mode and cause a loss of power. The fix was simply a software update, which is much easier to implement than a hardware fix, especially given Fisker's current financial situation. Wow. So, not great news. And I have no idea who's going to be able to, if they'll even be able to afford to do these recalls. Again, they're going through bankruptcy. I don't know anyone who's going to really benefit from buying the remaining assets of the company. Because again, they're not manufacturing these. They're designing them, but they have a third party. I believe it was actually the same company that is putting together the Toyota Supra. I'll say in Austria. It loses me at the moment. I know it starts with an M. It's not Meckers, but nevertheless, they don't have that. What they really just have is a bunch of, I guess they have blueprints and maybe a couple good engineering ideas, and they have a couple of patents. But I'm very skeptical to actually see who's going to come out and try to buy the company, if anyone ever does. Again, this is the second time Mr. Fisker has gone bankrupt with his EV company. And again, it's a very tough industry, a lot of low margins, you're losing money for a long time. I mean, the odds of success in the EV world are very, very slim. I mean, so far Tesla's the most, historically the most successful one to ever do it. But again, having a recall while you're going through bankruptcy just gives extra incentive for people to fire sale these and get rid of them. Not because, how are you going to support this? Because again, it's a piece of technology. So who's going to do it? Just cybersecurity alone. Who's going to update this vehicle to make sure it's secured? Because again, malicious actors could potentially hijack your vehicle remotely and make it crash on you. And very similar to like Windows updates. They have people working at Microsoft. They have people working 24/7 basically to work on patches and updates to make sure they're plugging all the holes. Because again, it's a game of cat and mouse with malicious actors for cybersecurity. And that's just one threat vector of long-term ownership for these vehicles. Who's going to do these little updates? The remaining people who still have this car, can't believe how they think it's going to give them incentive to just try to sell to anyone for anything, just get out of their lives. And it certainly doesn't inspire confidence for long-term ownership or the brand of the company. It's one thing if you had a loyal base of customers, maybe eventually you can get profit out of a business model with them, but it's just having a recall during bankruptcy. I gotta say that's seemingly just adding insult to injury. And that recall with Fisker, I have to say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.